Literature gives us the opportunity to experience lives, perspectives, and worlds different from our own. Though remember, friend, a good story has many readings, and this is but one. In a previous life, your mother had two other daughters, neither of whom you've met because she had to abandon them before you were born. And now, shortly after your mother unexpectedly passes away, her closest friends report that they've found your half-sisters and have raised money to send you to meet them so that you can tell them all about your mom. But you hesitate to accept, because did you really know your mother well enough to tell her story? That, of course, is part of the challenge Jingmei Jun Wong faces in Amy Tan's The Joy Luck Club. And she's just one of 8 focal characters in 16 interweaving stories. But you knew that already, right? Wait, you haven't read it? Not even one of the stories? Okay, well in that case, we'll get you up to speed on Jingmei's tale and get you amped to read the rest. You're lucky you ran into this coffee shop. Thanks so much to HelloFresh for helping us figure out what's for dinner. So you haven't read The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. Her debut novel, it was a real cultural phenomenon when it released in 1989. Tan's depiction of immigrant Chinese mothers and their first-generation American daughters, trying to bridge a cultural and generational gap, struck a chord with its audience, and its cultural impact continues to be discussed and debated to this day. However, the book's structure makes it a little challenging to summarize. See, Amy Tan based the arrangement of the Joy Luck Club on mahjong, specifically traditional 4-player mahjong. Playing the game requires 4 rounds of 4 hands each, totaling 16 hands. So, Tan wrote this classic in the form of 16 linked stories about the lives of 8 main characters, 4 pairs of mothers and daughters. And while characters and details overlap in many of the stories, each story is also primarily focused on the experiences of one character told from the point of view of that character. Except, of course, for the story of Xiaowen Wu, who has died before the first chapter, which gets us into the storyline we'll be focusing on today. You are Jingmei Jun Wong, a 36-year-old woman living in San Francisco. Now, you've had a complicated relationship with your mother Xiaowen because you believe that for years she viewed you as a failure, and also because you just could never quite figure out your mom. Shortly after her death, your father informs you that you've been invited by her local church friends to fill her corner at the regular mahjong group your mom had created called the Joy Luck Club. Though it turns out this wasn't the first time your mother had formed a club with this name. Before she emigrated from China, your mother lived in Guilin with her first husband and their 2 daughters. Then during the Japanese invasion of China in World War II, Xiaowen formed a weekly mahjong club with her friends, where they told stories, ate delicious food, played for money, and hoped to be lucky. In her words, that hope was their only joy, which led to the name Joy Luck Club. But when things got too dangerous, Xiaowen fled on foot with her daughters. Falling ill and feeling that she wasn't going to survive, she left her 2 girls on the roadside with all of their valuables, and a note asking whomever found them to take care of them. Then she stumbled away deliriously and collapsed, certain of her own death. But Xiaowen didn't die. She was rescued by a missionary, while her daughters were adopted by farmers. She'd spent much of the rest of her life trying to find her children, and just before she died, she learned their location and shared the good news with her 3 best friends in the San Francisco incarnation of the club. And that's the real reason why they invited you. Her friends have arranged for you to meet your lost sisters, so you can tell them about your mother's life. However, when you tell them that you weren't sure if you should go because you feel like you never really knew your mother, her friends are aghast, because that suggests that their own daughters might not understand them. This disconnect between each mother-daughter pair is the thematic string that ties together the rest of the stories in the book. While the Joy Luck Club is not autobiographical, Amy Tan really did have a tumultuous relationship with her immigrant mother Daisy. And Tan drew inspiration for several of the stories from both their own experiences, as well as tales Daisy shared about growing up in China. Also, Tan originally intended for the Joy Luck Club to be a collection of singular short stories, but as she developed it on her own and with a writer's workshop, she realized that the stories weaved together perfectly. Then, in 1993, while working with director Wayne Wang, Tan adapted her novel into an enormously successful film, one of the first Blockbuster Hollywood films with an all-Asian cast, and the only one we'd see until 2018 with the release of Crazy Rich Asians. While Tan never intended for the Joy Luck Club to represent the totality of the Chinese-American experience, much less the Asian-American experience, its ubiquity has led to both praise and critique. For example, some critics point out that the book can be seen as an example of Orientalism, because they believe the novel distorts Chinese culture in a way that portrays it as backwards, dangerous, or exotic, and that it partially owes its mainstream success in America to these distortions. Other critics celebrate it for its depiction of the challenges children of immigrants face in reconciling their birth culture with that of their parents. So turns out, it's complicated, and we encourage you to draw your own conclusions. Some of the other stories in the Joy Luck Club include one daughter trying to introduce her Caucasian boyfriend to her mother at a disastrous dinner party, a little girl who gets lost after falling in a river and tries to wish her way back to her family, a mother helping her daughter stand up to her awful husband, and the story of how June and Soo-Eun reconcile shortly before her death. Which brings us back to Soo-Eun's story. You, her American daughter, finally decide to travel to China with your father to meet your half-sisters. As you get closer, you're filled with anxiety and sorrow. It really should be your mother, not you meeting them. But when you arrive, you're all immediately overcome with joy and love. You see your mother and yourself in their faces, and perhaps for the first time, are able to embrace your identity. All 8 of the main characters in the Joy Luck Club experience heartbreaks, triumphs, pain, and reconciliation over the course of the novel. And Tan uses her ability to capture the complex and evolving ways these mothers and daughters grow to a deeper understanding of each other, and how the traumas of the parents impact the lives of their children to shape the heart of the book. And because of that, and the ingenious structure of the titular club getting together in part to tell stories, you'll actually feel like you have your own corner of the table when you read the Joy Luck Club. But for now, that's all I'm going to tell you, because to get the real 8 main character experience, you're gonna need to read it for yourself. Oh, you're already reading it. Great. Well, don't let me bother you. You liking it so far? Sorry, I'll be quiet. What part are you on? Right. Let her read. Got it. While I let them dive into the book, I'm gonna sneak away and start thinking about dinner. Though granted, I won't have to think too hard thanks to the folks at HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a tasty meal kit delivery service that's been saving me time and keeping me way less hangry for ages now, all while eliminating tedious trips to the grocery store and stressful meal planning. I get everything I need to prepare awesome home-cooked meals delivered right to my door, and I'm eating in a half hour or less. Now, with over 50 meal options available each week, finding your favorite is super easy. For instance, I just cooked up their spicy maple chicken, which was precisely the sweet kick to the mouth I was craving, while Jeff went with grilling up their white cheddar Wonder Burgers, which looked too good for Zoe and I not to make an appearance for. What? It's not mooching if he keeps ordering the family size. Ooh, another thing HelloFresh gets right is their continued work on the sustainability and freshness fronts. Their produce goes from the farm to your front door in under a week, the ingredients are pre-portioned, which means less food waste, and the carbon footprint of their service is actually 25% smaller than that of meals made from store-bought groceries. And there hasn't been a better time than now to try HelloFresh for yourself, because they're offering a pretty delectable deal. All you gotta do is go to HelloFresh.com and use the code ExtraCredit16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts, including free shipping. Oh, you heard us right, hungry peoples. Right now you can get free food while supporting the content you love, the environment, and your grumbly tummy. Again, that's 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts at HelloFresh.com using the code ExtraCredit16. Your time and taste buds will thank you, and once again, so will we. Thanks so much. A hearty thanks of legend to Ahmed Ziad Turk, Alicia Bramble, Angelo Valenciana, Arcolite Games, Casey Muscha, Dominic Valenciana, Joseph Blame, and Kyle Murgatroyd.